Hey guys, so the queues have been rough today figuring out, and that's in terms of it's been a great day, right? So I get phone calls from folks who are like, "Well, you must be having a killer day in the triple queues today because look at it, it's straight up and all this." And the reality is, sometimes when it's straight up or straight down, it's a lot harder to figure out than on those days where it settles in, as I like to say. So I like to see a market that sort of has a trend move in the morning and then comes in and get some nice sideways action going so that we get a nice range. And then in that range, we can do things like buy and sell the futures, buy and sell the actual triple Q, the ETF, which is the thing that I've been trading primarily. But we do some future stuff as well. Today, I had intended to show you some live trades that we could do during this broadcast on the micro, right? So not the E-mini, the micro futures contract and sort of how you can move that around. But the ranges have been too tight, and we are in an upward shot right now that just doesn't want to pull back, doesn't want to pull back. So what I want to do instead is just go over the charts like we usually do, talk about where those opportunities are probably going to line up this afternoon, and then give us a closing bell strategy, figure out something that makes sense going into the bell. Might just be a case of sitting on your hands today, but why don't we just go to the charts and have a look. So here you see it, right? This is what we've been up against all morning. They open a little higher, and then this in here was actually a pretty good range to look for some opportunities. But what happened was, we got this big outsized move to the upside. And if you look at, what's been going on over the course of the day, I only had one time that I had something line up where I was going to take the trade. And again, this is all in terms of confluence, right? So you always want to see confluence of indications. And you can see here that we had this anchored VWAP, and that anchored VWAP came on the heels of a nice move that gave us some predictable range. So here we had this extension move to the upside of the bigger move over the course of the day is what generated this anchored VWAP. And it also lined up very nicely with a fib ratio. So a little bit earlier in the session here, you can see that you had this pullback to the fib line, right? And that as these things all start to overlap, you do get the opportunity for a trade, but in this case, only one so far. And that one was from this level right here, so 362.19 up to 362.80, which is decent range. And right now, what I'm waiting for is another pullback, and I'm thinking, that we're going to see something down into here. So this natural support and resistance at 383.24 overlaps perfectly with the anchored VWAP. The anchored VWAP is on this move right here. So when you have that move higher, then this line right there, that's where most of the price action took place. So that gives us the opportunity then to try to find an entry. The thing to take away from this is on a day like this, it's entirely possible that you're not going to get enough confluence if what you're doing is trying to trade these setups in the way that we did at the Super Bowl Sunday thing. Then what you're going to see is I've got this opportunity right here, and that's that profit. And then over the course of the rest of the day, what you're doing is you're just sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting for this to come back in. We're either looking for a move back down into these fib retracements, maybe down into that blue pivot line, hopefully down into this retracement, which would give us then the anchored VWAP support. It would also get us down pretty close to a 2 standard deviation move below our average price, and it would give us the opportunity then, for another long side entry. And then on this, I would say, my first target would be up into this central tendency, up into the average there. That overlaps with this support and resistance and gives us a good place to just sort of clean things up and say, if it gets there, that's the first place that we're going to look. And then the real opportunity, I think, is do we get this pullback into either the blue pivot or down into 362.19, and then maybe wind up with a move that gets us back up to this anchored VWAP or even into, you know, these highs right there. But, you know, like I said, not every day is going to be a masterpiece here. It's sometimes things are going to be very easy to pick apart and analyze, and other days you're just looking at, you know, this kind of a thing. And I don't like jumping on when things are in any kind of a runaway move. So what I always want to see is a move back down that goes to a place that we've tested before, that we have significant volume stacking up. We have confluence of indications. We have things that are all saying, you know, that this is a place that we've got overlap in what we think is going to go on. And when that happens, the odds get pushed in our favor, and it puts us in front of the opportunity for some good trades. All right, so that is what what I'm thinking is probably going to be the rest of the day. This might be a day where I just wind up sitting on my hands for the rest of the session. That's okay, right? We've had lots and lots of good days, and if you go back over the videos from prior trading sessions, you can see that we've lined up really lots and lots of opportunities to get in front of winners. And what I don't want to do is hop into something just because I feel like, you know, I'm missing an opportunity. Oh my God, you know, that thing was right in front of me, and then boom, you know, when, you know, it's like an uppercut, it wound up going to the moon, and it did it without me. Doesn't matter, right? So what you really want to do is just focus on the good opportunities. Goes up, comes down, gets into a trading range that's predictable, gets into a place that we know, that we see confluence, that we see things that are making sense in terms of how they line up. And when that happens, right, that's the magic of not getting in front of a bunch of losing positions, not being one of the 70% of people who winds up losing money in the markets. Get yourself into only the safest positions, and when you get bored, go do something else. Figure out some other way to spend your day. All right, so that's my 2 cents. Sorry we didn't have the micro thing to look at. I think it looks to me like they're rounding a little bit lower right now. Maybe it'll come back down and test the support levels that we had drawn on the charts. If it does, even if it gets into that first level of support that we were looking at there, that 383.24, which is the most recent level, you know, go look at that top band and say, you know, is there enough room between the spot 24 level, 3 spot 24, and that higher level? And if there is enough there for a profit, then you start stacking up the trade. Is it coming into the central tendency? Is it coming into a support and resistance? Is it coming into a VWAP? Is it coming into a fib retracement? Right, all this stuff lines up and tells us whether or not we're in front of a good trade. Okay, so if we get something, we get something. If not, I will see everybody tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, and hopefully we'll see some nice, orderly, geometric trading over the course of the day. You guys have a great trading day.